So I mentioned significance. And then I also think, so I mentioned on a couple of the other categories like warrior and poet, I mentioned that I picture these as maybe a ladder or a hierarchy where you could think of certain individuals as occupying a pinnacle position, right? Or an iconic position. Mm-hmm. So think of, you might, if you asked some people, tell me someone who you think of as being heroic, right? And someone might say a firefighter who rushes into a building facing certain death to try to save people, or a soldier who rushes into enemy fire to rescue a friend, or something like that, right? And that is a heroic action, right? That has to do with facing down death, right? It also has to do with asserting significance. In other words, living in a significant way, in a very significant moment. So in that one moment, so behaving heroically in that, in a final moment, okay? But I also think that there are moment by moment choices that are related to that category that all of us are trying to engage in, that are an attempt to in some way enliven that same project, that same heroic project.
I think you have to build up to that sort of, in a way, by building other parts of your character, maybe. Mm-hmm. Because you wouldn't expect a 10-year-old boy or girl, whatever, to act heroic necessarily. They might not even know what they're giving away, what they don't know what their character is maybe yet, and the difference, what you're giving up. You might be giving up life, which seems ridiculous maybe to a child, but it might seem a little bit different when you have a larger perspective.
Yeah.
And that doesn't come without having these incremental experiences or educational moments, however you come about them.
Yeah, well, that actually it makes me think of another idea that kind of relates to this idea, is the idea of, so another thing that fits under this category of the heroic idea of of dealing with the idea of death, or the idea of our finite time here and living in a significant way, is the idea of sacrifice, right? And so seemingly conflicting ideas arise from this. So what you just kind of mentioned is something that we have to learn and mature ourselves into. And there's a number of kind of philosophies and religions and cultural mores that have to do with things that seem like they don't make sense, right? So all of these things that have to do with giving up yourself for something larger, or whether it's an idea, a tribe, a family, a loved one, it's probably hard to come up with some action that you would call heroic that doesn't involve something like that, right? So ideas that have to do with sacrificing yourself, giving up yourself, are in that category, run in that same vein.